now to talk about this and much more, Congressman Sean Duffy. He supported President-elect Trump's campaign. Sir, congratulations on your candidate's win. I'm sure you're happy there's about to be a unified Republican government, and maybe even happier that Wisconsin went Republican.
Yeah, so we predicted that Wisconsin could actually go red, but we were more hopeful probably than seeing data on the ground. And, you know, it was a good night for us as Republicans. First time Wisconsin went red since 1984. And Ron Johnson was reelected. So we feel pretty good in the Badger State, turning it red from blue. And, yeah, ready to go.
So I want to ask you, so you just saw those incidents of violence, racially anti-Semitic tinged graffiti, supporters of Trump have been committing some of these acts. Opponents of Trump have been committing some of these acts. Do you think that President-elect Trump should do more to address the country, to try to encourage unity, especially after an election where he said a lot of things that offended a lot of people?
Well, so first, the video you just showed of a man getting beaten outside of his car. There's also one of a young girl, a sophomore, who was beaten up in high school by another girl because she was a supporter of Trump. We see the protests in the streets that are causing criminal damage to property. I think what we need is both Mr. Trump, Mr. Obama, and Mrs. Clinton to all talk to the American people and say, listen, let's stand down. We had an election. That's what we do in America. We have a debate. It can get tough at times, but once the debate is over and we declare a winner, we accept the votes at the ballot box. Let's not take to the street. Let's not beat each other up. Let's not, let's not put discriminatory things in our bathrooms or on our monuments. But it takes both sides to calm this thing down. And you know, Jake, that WikiLeaks indicated that it was the liberal side of the Democrat Party that was trying to foment violence within Trump rallies and make it seem like Donald Trump was a man of violence. But they were instigating that, as WikiLeaks exposed. So I think, again, Barack Obama has a very strong voice, and he can help calm the country, and so too can Hillary. And I think Donald should be part of that as well.
Mr. Trump is currently deliberating over whom to make his chief of staff. Our reporting says that he personally wants Steve Bannon, the chairman of Breitbart Media, to do it, either as a White House chief of staff or as a senior advisor. As I'm sure you know, many progressive groups, including the Southern Poverty Law Center, have been very critical of Bannon for things in his past as well as things that Breitbart has said about minorities, not to mention attacks by Breitbart against the Republican establishment, including your good friend Speaker Ryan. What do you think about a Bannon appointment?
Well, listen, this is going to be Mr. Trump's choice, but from my perspective, I look at Reince Priebus, who is also up for this position, and a Wisconsin guy, Jake. But Reince is good friends with Paul Ryan and has the ear and the trust of Donald Trump. And if you want to get legislation through the Congress and get the president to sign it, there's one guy who can bring all sides together, all viewpoints together, and be the grease in the wheel to make legislation work, and that's Reince Priebus. And so I think he would be the best choice. And I don't know that he actually wants the job. It's a tough job. But I think Reince would be the best guy because he knows all the players, and all the players trust him because he's a straight shooter. But again, Mr. Trump will make the decision who's best to lead his team in the White House. But Reince and his relationships would, I think, bode well for the Republican Party as a whole.
In an interview with the Wall Street Journal, just published, his first interview since becoming president-elect, Mr. Trump told reporters that he wants to keep some pieces of Obamacare in place, including the prohibition against insurers denying coverage because of a patient's pre-existing conditions. In addition, the measure that allows kids to stay on their parents' insurance plans up until, I believe, age 25 or 26. As someone who wants Obamacare completely repealed and replaced, is that acceptable to you, or do you want the whole thing gone?
Well, first of all, there's principles that we agree with. I mean, we want people who have pre-existing conditions to get health coverage. In Wisconsin, we had a high-risk pool that allowed those with pre-existing conditions to actually buy insurance. It was a little more expensive, but they could afford it. You don't want to see folks who had a cancer or a heart attack not be able to buy insurance, but we got to do it the right way. Also, I mean, Jake, you can run for Congress at 25. Obamacare lets you stay on your parents' health care until 26. We might have to relook at that and maybe say 22 or 23, get people through college, but not into their young adult life. That just gets to be really expensive, and it drives up the cost. And so I think we have to look at different parts of Obamacare that are working and maybe repackage them in a new way. But also, a lot of this doesn't work, Jake. In my community, we have people who are having a hard time paying their mortgage or putting food on the table, and when they get a 20 or 25% increase in their cost of health care, they can't afford this stuff. And so we have to have a significant remake of health care. And you know, listen, we'll sit down with Mr. Trump and see what he likes and what he doesn't like and make our decisions from there. But we don't disagree with every concept within Obamacare. We disagree with how this whole thing has worked as a package to drive up costs.
Republican Congressman Sean Duffy, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Jake.